Hello there. If you're anything like me, and perhaps you are a little bit, I've noticed that thanks to my programming, I get lost in this idea of I should do this. I have to do that. I have to tick off this list and then I will be satisfied. And then I will be productive. And then I will have reason to rest. And of course, the rest doesn't really seem to come except unless it is kind of forced into my being. Now, this is not every day. This is the extremes of some of my programming. And this is the transforming and evolving part of my personality, because I have put the quest out to absolutely let this stuff go. Part of this, massive part of this, is recognizing how important surrender is, my relationship to spirit, the fact that I am the presence of spirit when I am totally surrendered and integrated with my higher self. And the programming that the mind and the brain and the body and its patterns and neural pathways is simply a human vessel, if you like, for living out and acting out the established filters of perception that I received when I was younger. As I was growing up, my memories, my values, my experiences have shaped my lens or perception of reality. And I'm conscious to that. Many of us are not conscious. And I'm actively seeking to recreate that programming to be empowering for me, to allow me to be driven by spirit in the driver's seat rather than the mind. And the mind becomes the servant to the I am presence within my human experience. So that's the ultimate goal. And that's important, I think, especially when you are wanting to get out of stuck patterns that are frustrating you. And so bringing up a stuck pattern for me has been, in particular, this focus on this idea that I have to do certain things to be successful at work. Now, I am a coach and counselor, and I also work part-time at an institute for counseling. I have a busy schedule and I enjoy what I do. However, sometimes if I have a lot of work to do, I tend to put the sacred parts of life as a luxury or an optional. What am I talking about? Well, when we look at life, a lot of us only see through the lens of survival, as in the base needs being met. And we continuously go after meeting those needs, even after they are met, but we seek more and more and better, and we continue to externalize this progress by comparing to others, by looking outside of ourselves. And there is no satiation with this process because it's all based on an illusion. Anything outside of us is transient. It is the creation of our filters of perception in our own personal walk with our lens through our programming. We're going to see what we're looking for. If we were programmed into this idea that if you don't work hard and produce and tick all the boxes, then you don't deserve to rest and have a break and enjoy the fruits of your labor and enjoy the sacred parts of life. That's a program. And that's not true. That's one person's truth from a subjective level. So the higher truth of the matter is there's nothing we need to do, produce, or achieve to be deserving of, and if I can use that word lightly, to earn, if you like, and also, again, not the right word, our peace of mind, our chance to be still, our chance to relax and enjoy the present moment and not feel absolutely any pressure from any direction and just be. That's the dream. And ultimately, that is the peace that we are all seeking, because peace cannot come from outside of ourselves or from any actions that we take to create something outside of ourselves. Peace is the realization of the true essence of who we are. And peace is surrendering to that phenomena in our life and recognizing that we can only ever operate from this level of integration with spirit and feel peace, true, lasting peace. So I tend to go round, and as I learn, I expand. We expand in circles. We don't go up and up and up in our learning. We expand in circles. It's very circular. So we're always growing and expanding. And for me, it has been a little bit harder with this deep, deep programming that I have to do, produce, and achieve in order to take a moment to enjoy the sacred parts of life. What are the sacred parts of life? Well, for many of us, we have been programmed or culturally led to believe that the sacred parts of life are just for those who have the luxury, or for those who are lazy, or for those who are into wasting life away, or who are still childish. The sacred parts of life are things like music, art, playing, singing, dancing, hugging trees, eating a meal with loved ones, cracking jokes, lots of laughter, being silly, rolling down hills, creating anything that comes from a present moment state, from being inspired by spirit in a moment of stillness. Sacred is not a luxury at all. The sacred in our lives is absolutely a necessity. It needs to be completely balanced with the survival aspects of life. It's absolutely not all about work or all about survival. In order for us to access those paths of flow that we're all seeking, so that we can feel abundance and ease and grace in our lives, we have to embrace the sacred aspects of life. We have to. It's not a choice. It's actually accepting and acknowledging that our true essence is a frequency of play, of joy, of unattachment, of unity, of love. And these, in fact, are the natural states of a child. So yes, it looks childish and it is something we've been programmed to believe is a luxury to play. So this is just a reminder, if this is something that you get caught up in, like I do sometimes, in terms of I have to work hard before I can play and enjoy this life, that's not true. So let that go. I remind myself all the time when I become conscious, because I'm not always conscious, as many humans know, being conscious all the time is a great pursuit, but it's very difficult. 95% of our mind is unconscious. And so we want to be able to program that unconscious part of our mind to accepting, surrender, and play as a normal part of life, as a necessary part of life. And so I decided to sit down and do a stock take on some of the areas of my work where I was overcompensating for fear of not being valuable enough or productive enough. You might relate to this. So I took a list or a stock take of all the elements of my day-to-day work. I make it a point of clearly identifying each step that I take throughout the day. So this is an act of becoming conscious, shedding light on every single thing that you are spending time with. I think this is very important if you find yourself overwhelmed or stressed or anxious, is become conscious. Shed the light of awareness on everything you are doing and every activity, especially if you're someone who tends to channel their energy into productivity to feel better. So really dissect, what are you doing with your time? And what I found in my experience was I have definitely shifted into work that I love and that I enjoy and that I relish and that I find fulfillment and expansion in. But there are aspects that I don't necessarily need to focus on so much. For me, I wrote down a list of my favorite parts of work first, and then I put them into hierarchical order. And what I discovered was that I was not focusing on the most pleasurable aspects as a priority. What I was doing was I was actually wasting energy or draining energy into parts of my day that were not actually zooming out to the bigger picture, providing any value in my business. Let me give you some solid examples of what I'm talking about. So the other day I wrote down all of the aspects of work that I really loved. And I got in hierarchical order. 1, meditation. Yes, I meditate for work. I make it a point of meditating and becoming still before each client in my coaching and counseling so that I can make sure that I am fully surrendered to receive spirit. The second thing I do in my day that I love is personal and professional research and development. Basically learning about the mental, the emotional, physical, and the spiritual aspects of life, because I'm fascinated by it, as you might be able to tell. And so this has been integrated into my job. And that is amazing. To have that kind of alignment is wonderful. It's worth stopping to celebrate. If you found that in your life too, that there's something that you do every day that you actually love to do, that's huge. And celebrate that. Number 3 for me was making these videos. I absolutely love making videos and sharing my inspiration with others. And for me, this is something that I find very easy and natural. And I often am able to create and produce copy and blogs and articles from these videos because I'm able to think out loud and share this inspiration as I go. Which is actually how I organize and form some of my thoughts as well, is just speaking. Everyone's different, but I found that this for me is an absolute delight. And so the priority of making these videos has now become more important because I shed light on the fact that I delight in it. And just as a side note here, what you delight in will provide you with flow, will provide you with good vibes, with good energy, and like attracts like. If there's aspects of your work you particularly love but you put off, do those things as a priority because energy goes where attention flows. Well, attention flows where energy goes, or you understand that one. And so we begin to entrain with a frequency of more of what we want. Number 4 for me was running my client sessions. I absolutely delight in running my sessions with clients. And I'm 43 now, but this was something in my life that I was searching for the longest time. I had such confusion around what I was supposed to be doing with my time, what would ideally align with my natural interests, gifts, abilities, talents, knowledge, skills that would provide the best service for others, that would help them reach my highest values, which is to find truth, find peace, and find growth and expansion. And so for me, I absolutely love that aspect of my work. And number 5 for me was leading my networking events, which is really a combination of different aspects of skills in my job. Some things I don't like so much, which is marketing and sales, and other aspects like facilitating the actual networking events I absolutely love. And so just writing that list down and putting it in order of what I loved gave me so much positive energy. It gave me momentum. It gave me drive. It's like that fueling the engine of creation, of manifesting more of what gives us love, delight, joy, peace even in our lives, fulfillment, play. Now, then I also wrote down some of the aspects that I didn't so much enjoy, but I was putting a lot of effort into on a regular basis. And one of those things was making blogs and newsletters. I don't enjoy them. I'll be really honest with you. I don't know what it is. Perhaps that's something I also need to look more into, is what it is. But I find it a little tedious, a little less creative to have to create a newsletter and send it out. I also found that the sales and marketing, the advertising aspects of my job, as I mentioned earlier, was something I certainly didn't necessarily enjoy or delight in. I found it, again, quite tedious. So this doesn't mean that we have to stop doing these aspects that help run a business. But what I found was that I looked at from a higher level and found that the actual effectiveness of doing regular newsletters and blogs and advertising was not necessarily bringing me the clients that I received. I saw that most of my clients were coming from other avenues. And so immediately I was able to see that I could pull back on the effort and energy that I was putting into these activities that I wasn't enjoying in my day. So I would encourage you to do what I did and illuminate your day. Find out what it is that gives you joy, streams of consciousness, as in you get into the alpha theta brainwave state, you go into a state of flow. What brings you there in the actual work you're doing? And focus more on that. Nurture that. Bring your attention and focus to those areas in your life, and you will see more of that. And that is something I can attest to in my own experience. And finally, look at the aspects of your day that you are feeling drained and bored by, perhaps even, and have a real look at it and see if it's actually something you can pull back on and do less of, at least maybe to experiment with, to find out. Maybe stop doing it for a month and see if it changes anything. And all the while, you'll be channeling that energy into something more that brings you higher in energy and motivation and joy and delight. So just wanted to share that with you. I found that really energizing. The other part of this I wanted to share with anyone who is struggling to make sure that they include the sacred aspects of life into their day is take time out from everything. This is just a little reminder. Take time out from everything. Believe me, what you are stepping away from will still be there when you come back. But what I did was just yesterday, I absolutely intentionally allocated yesterday to just a full day away from everything. Any work influences, any personal influences, any learning I was doing, any outside people, anything that was going to influence my energy, so that I could start to become more attuned with my own internal guidance system. Because what I found is when we get caught in these old programs that get us lost and unconscious and stuck in do, produce, achieve, we stop attuning to our own internal needs. And so if we can just take a day out, just if you can, or just an hour or something, if whatever you can take it, and ideally schedule it off and go out and do something completely different. For me, I went down to the beach. I even got a pedicure, which is not something I normally got. I had a wonderful chat with the girl in the pedicure shop. It was all very spontaneous. I did some journaling, listened to music, and I just had a delightful time away from my regular routine of life. So if that's something that you need, then do look after yourself. Nurture that part of you that needs a break. And remember to breathe deeply. This is one thing I remind myself of all the time. Deep belly breaths brings deep logical thoughts. And it also brings surrender to the mind, to the monkey mind. Allow the mind to move out of that survival brain, shallow breaths, shallow thoughts, into the deep belly breaths that bring you down into a much more slow, measured, calm state. Down into alpha theta brainwaves, down into the regenerative effects of that, healing the body, healing the stress, bringing logic, perspective, and reason to sometimes a very illogical process of perception, because we're in fight, flight, freeze all the time. So very, very important. I hope this has been helpful. Have a beautiful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. And if you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. It would mean a lot. Okay. See ya.